This is the girl's first try at an assassination, but the teacher shuts off the scope. Matilda goes, "What? Am I supposed to shoot blindly without the scope?" You know, the reflection from the lens could expose the position and get noticed by the enemy. If you want to be a killer, you gotta remember this. Only when it's time to fire does Leon let her turn on the scope. The target is this grinning dude. Leon tells her to take it easy with her breathing, keep her eyes fixed on the man, and picture herself running alongside him. Try to anticipate his next move, then bang! A red mark shows up on the man's belly. A perfect shot right in the critical area. The man doesn't feel a thing, but the bodyguards go nuts. They suddenly lunge at him. The man is all like, "I'm fine," but the others are shouting, "No, you got shot." Bodyguards pop out from all over the place, searching for the enemy. But it's just a paintball. It's for beginners. It can't harm anyone. But nailing the critical area with one shot reveals the girl's talent as a killer. The girl wants to load real bullets, but Leon says no, says it's not the time yet. Even though they train together, drink a glass of fresh milk together, and Leon has taught her all about guns. Every time there's a mission, she can only stay home and clean the guns. This makes her really sad, because the real reason she's here is all for revenge. So what's the story? This girl is really having a tough time. She's the only one left in her family of 5. Her name is Matilda Lando. That day, Matilda went out to grab some milk for the family. Before she can even reach home, Matilda spots a killer standing at the door. She makes herself keep going. When walking past the door, she sees someone lying on the ground. She's too scared to look closer, but just from seeing one hand, she knows it's her dad. To survive, Matilda has no choice but to keep walking, acting like a neighbor. She makes it to the end of the corridor. Matilda rings the doorbell, praying that the uncle inside will open up. She's crying her eyes out with fear.
Please.
But the uncle is already aware that there is a group of killers next door. He's standing by the door, really conflicted. He doesn't want to get involved in any unnecessary hassle. But if he doesn't open the door, the girl will be dead in 2 minutes flat. The uncle is having a real internal struggle, but when he sees Matilda's helpless tears, he opens the door and lets her in. All of a sudden, a light hits Matilda and drives away her fear. Seeing this, the killer at the door relaxes his guard, but not too long after, the guys inside find the family photo. After comparing it with the bodies at the scene, they figure out that there is a girl unaccounted for. The guys immediately go out to search and make the killer suspicious of Matilda again. The mean killer is standing right outside the door. He's listening intently. Leon is behind the door, gun in hand, ready to take him down. But then, out of the blue, Matilda turns on the TV and plays a cartoon. Thanks to the cartoon sound, the killer lets go of his suspicion and leaves. The reason these killers are chasing Matilda's family is that her dad stole the boss's drugs. Matilda is in tears, but not for her father, who's into drug dealing. She only feels sad for her 4-year-old brother. It turns out that the whole family treated Matilda like a doormat. Just because she wanted to watch a cartoon, her sister would give her a beating. Her mother is a nightclub girl and couldn't care less about Matilda. She just tells her to scram and stop bugging her. Even her own father despises Matilda. When he's in a good mood, he just gives her a hard time. When he's in a bad mood, he smacks her around. Matilda is always covered in bruises. Only her brother would come to comfort her. Matilda is used to this miserable life. Even when the school calls and asks why she's not going to school, Matilda can only say,
"She's dead."
But every time the uncle passes by, Matilda would initiate a chat with him. She has a soft spot for the uncle because he would stop and notice the bruises on Matilda's face. But Matilda fibs and says she fell off her bike. Parents shouldn't lay a hand on their kids. Every time the uncle passes by, he would hear the rough scolding and hitting going on inside. One day, Matilda gets beaten up again, and her face is all bloody. The uncle hands her a handkerchief. Matilda asks him, "Will life always be this tough?"
Just when you're a kid.
Always like this.
Matilda has no idea that the neighbor uncle is actually a top-notch killer. As a killer, Leon is as lonely as she is. He's always packing a lot of heat. No matter how tough the mission the boss assigns him, he can pull it off perfectly and get out unscathed. But at the same time, Leon has his own code. He doesn't harm women and children. To stay sharp, Leon is always by himself. His only pal is a potted plant. He hasn't hit the sack in 30 years. Every night he would have his gun right next to him. As a pro killer, he's always geared up for a fight. His only pastime is going to the movies. Only when he's in the dark like everyone else can. He let loose and laugh. The ace killer is actually a decent guy. Seeing Matilda in distress, Leon turns and heads into the kitchen. He comes up with a way to cheer Matilda up. "Hello, Matilda."
Hi, Piggy.
Matilda is amused by Leon. She asks Leon what his name is. After hearing it, she says it's really cute. Leon changes the topic and asks Matilda if she has any relatives to go to. Matilda shakes her head. He goes back to the kitchen to get her some milk. Matilda opens the box on the table. It's full of all kinds of deadly weapons. Matilda asks Leon, "What kind of job do you do?" "The kind that cleans up living people."
Cleaner.
But surprisingly, Matilda isn't scared. She wants to know how much a person's head is worth. $20,000. Not a high price, but not something Matilda can afford. She offers to wash and cook for Leon in exchange for Leon teaching her how to kill. Leon refuses. He tells Matilda to rest in the bedroom and kindly brings a blanket. It's a warmth Matilda has never felt before. She holds Leon's finger. Leon has a hard time falling asleep and keeps thinking until late at night. He doesn't want to have Matilda as an extra worry. The killer whips out his weapon and aims it at Matilda, who's fast asleep. As a professional assassin, Leon can't have any chinks in his armor. But still, he just can't bring himself to pull that trigger. The following day, Leon tells her to scarf down her meal and scram, not to loiter around here. But Matilda is dead set on becoming a killer. Leon doesn't buy it. He hands Matilda a pistol and some ammo and tells her she can vamoose wherever she pleases. Matilda retorts, "You're accountable for me. If you ditch me now, it's like you never opened that door for me." But how on earth can a little girl morph into a killer? Well, who could have guessed that Matilda snatches up the pistol in a flash and fires out the window until she's emptied the clip? Leon is flabbergasted. Witnessing Matilda's unwavering determination, he has no alternative but to take her on as his protege. But due to the ruckus she stirred up, they gotta skedaddle. Matilda is toting a paper sack filled with her spare duds and clutching the potted plant with one arm. Leon is lugging a suitcase jam-packed with firearms and a sniper rifle concealed in a violin case. That's the sum total of their worldly possessions. But the more Leon mulls it over, the hotter his temper flares. His good intentions have saddled him with this pint-sized troublemaker. He growls at Matilda, "If you ever pull a stunt like that again, I'll splatter your brains."
Okay.
And stop saying okay all the time, okay?
Okay.
Then the two of them make a beeline for a motel. There's a sniper rifle stashed in this here violin case, but the motel owner is as clueless as a bump on a log and gripes that the violin will rattle the other guests. Leon can't offer an explanation, and he sure as heck can't spill the beans that there's a sniper rifle inside. At this juncture, Matilda steps up and fibs that she's got an exam for the music academy next month and has to practice the violin like crazy. For the kids' sake, the owner fishes out an info sheet for them to fill in. But Leon is illiterate, so he's in a pickle once more. It's Matilda who grabs the form and bails him out. After settling into the room, Leon promptly scouts every nook and cranny. That's the wariness a killer ought to possess. He's got to figure out an escape route when danger rears its ugly head. Matilda, meanwhile, is filling in the form. She plugs in the details of the classmates she can't stand. That way, even if something goes awry, they won't be traced. After unwinding a smidge, Leon quizzes Matilda about her age. Matilda fibs and claims she's 18. She doesn't want Leon to treat her like a kiddo. Leon doesn't swallow that story for a second, but the next day he still toddles off to the killer's specialty store and nabs a toy gun for beginners. The store owner smells a rat. He cautions Leon.
Change ain't good, Leon. Yeah.
A 12-year-old girl hankers to be a killer. Leon ushers Matilda up to the rooftop. This is Matilda's maiden lesson. Leon spiels. The rifle is a killer's go-to weapon. The slicker the killer, the closer they get to the target. So gizmos like swords and other cold steel, Matilda, you'll learn those last. And killers always don black threads. Don't stick out like a sore thumb against the ground. Otherwise, it's a piece of cake to be spotted. With one shot, Matilda nails it. She kicks off a daily workout routine, launders Leon's duds, and whips up grub for him. Leon is bonkers about that potted plant, so Matilda totes the plant out to soak up some sun. After wrapping up the killer lessons each day, Matilda tutors Leon in reading. At night, Matilda crashes in the bed while Leon still sacks out on the couch. As time marches on, Matilda has soaked up a heap of gun know-how, but starts to feel antsy. She floats the idea of playing the Guess Who game with Leon. How many famous Hollywood movie stars can you ID? Matilda scampers into the bedroom all fired up. When she emerges again, she's decked out like Madonna and belts out a tune. Leon is left scratching his head.
I don't know.
Matilda has to do a wardrobe switcheroo. She slips into a white dress and pairs it with the trademark red lips. Now you ought to recognize me, right? But Leon gets all bashful, can't bring himself to look her in the eye, and can't fathom that it's Marilyn Monroe. Matilda then dons the guise of the comedy great Charlie Chaplin and struts around in a hoot. Leon has a vague sense of familiarity but can't quite put his finger on it. Matilda ain't too thrilled about that. She badgers Leon to change clothes and join in the fun. Leon has no choice but to play along, but he's as clumsy as a newborn calf, not looking the least bit like a killer, just like a kid who hasn't quite grown up. Bit by bit, the two of them grow thick as thieves. One day, Matilda quizzes Leon, "Why are you so nuts about this plant?"
It's like music, clothes.
But it's always bright and chipper. But since Matilda waltzed into his life, she's chased away the clouds in Leon's life. They horse around together. Leon is mighty concerned about Matilda. When he spots some blonde-haired yahoo chatting her up, he shuts it down pronto and gives Matilda a stern talking to. "Don't gab with strangers willy-nilly, and don't you dare light up. That's how you'll grow up right." The little girl has developed a crush on the killer uncle. Although Matilda is a bit of a rebel, she heeds Leon's words because she fancies Leon as her first love. Leon nearly chokes on his milk in shock. "You ain't never been in a relationship. How do you know it's love?" Matilda lays a hand on her tummy.
So warm.
That's just your tummy ache on the mend. But when they step out, Leon leans against the wall, all torn up inside. He can't wrap his head around this feeling, but he can't deny he's got the same butterflies. He ain't even sure if it's love or a father-daughter kind of bond. On this particular day, Leon heads out for work, but Matilda sneaks off. She hightails it back home and stumbles upon the $20,000 her old man stashed. Out of the blue, Matilda notices that the mark on the floor belongs to her little brother. She's crushed. Who could have foreseen that at that very moment a fella barges in, fit to be tied, trailed by two cops? Matilda ducks out of sight. This dirty cop is actually the one who wiped out the family of 5. His name's Norman Stansfield. On the surface, he plays the role of a narcotics detective, but behind the curtain, he's neck-deep in the murky underworld, pulling off all kinds of double crosses and has his minions helping him reign over the underground drug racket. He even spun the slaughter of Matilda's family as an official gig, smearing them by claiming that the entire Matilda's clan were drug pushers and had it coming. Stansfield is the exact culprit who offed Matilda's younger brother. Matilda tails him all the way, but can only look on helplessly as he struts into the police station. All by herself, she doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell against this crooked cop. Matilda racks her noggin over the revenge scheme. At this moment, Leon shows up. He copped a wound during the mission, but plays it cool like nothing's wrong. He ducks into the bathroom to sew up his boo-boo and then comes to Matilda. He fishes out a pink dress from the paper bag. It's a prezi he handpicked for her, but Matilda couldn't care less. All that's on her mind is revenge. She whips out the $20,000, spills Stansfield's name and address, and asks Leon to help her get even. Leon, though, says that they can't go around whacking people. Once you've got blood on your hands, you'll be tossing and turning for the rest of your days. But Matilda is as stubborn as a mule. A 12-year-old girl is actually about to play a deadly game of Russian roulette. Matilda yanks out the magazine, jams 5 bullets into it, leaving just one empty chamber. She reckons that if she manages to survive one shot, she'll call off the revenge. But Leon, being a pro killer, can sense that the gun is loaded and ready to go. "If you've got even a smidgen of love for me in your heart, you won't let me pull this trigger." The very next moment, she aims the gun at her noggin.
I love you, Leon.
This shows that Leon has made his call. He's fessed up that he loves Matilda. Matilda breaks down in tears. "I won." He then drags Matilda to meet the boss. When the boss spots the little kid tagging along with Leon, he blows his top. Being a killer ain't no kiddie stuff. Leon says, "Matilda is a quick study and she's all grown up. You call this 18? Leon shoots back that she just looks like a youngster. The boss is clueless about Leon's deal, but seeing that Leon keeps giving her the thumbs up, he has no option but to give in. From then on, Leon has a pint-sized sidekick. This is the most tight-knit killer team ever. Leon's job is to snip the door chain while Matilda plays the part of a lost little girl to lull the target into a false sense of security. This time, the mark is a drug dealer. Leon doesn't go gung-ho and off him right away. Instead, he tells the dude to hold still. Matilda then hoists her toy gun to practice. The first shot for a killer is to take the target out of commission. Hitting the gut or the pins is kosher. The second shot is the one that does the deed, but keep the face off limits. If the employer can't ID the body, they won't cough up the cash. Matilda soaks up every word. After the lesson, Leon makes short work of the drug dealer. Matilda spills some booze and torches the drugs. She despises these noxious things with a passion. The two of them gel like a charm. Matilda also dons the same red cap as Leon's. Next, they've busted over a dozen drug pads, putting the fear of God into drug dealers. But who could have guessed that one day they bump into a real hard case? No matter how hard Matilda tries to sweet-talk them, the folks inside just won't budge. All of a sudden, Leon catches wind of the sound of a gun being loaded. In a split second, he snatches Matilda up in his arms. In the blink of an eye, a blistering barrage of bullets rips the door to shreds. There are holes all over the wall like Swiss cheese. He's just pulled Matilda's bacon out of the fire. Leon says, sometimes killers will run smack into this sort of tough customers. But don't sweat it. The secret sauce is to wrap things up pronto. Otherwise, you'll have to put up with their yammering. Then Leon yanks the pin and tosses in a high-explosive grenade. In a flash, there are fireworks everywhere, and the cocky enemies are silenced. This is Leon's go-to trick with the pin. But the missions are always extremely dangerous. Leon starts to worry. What if something happens to him one day? What will Matilda do? He secretly goes to see the boss and says that if anything happens to him, all the remuneration he's deposited with the boss should be left to Matilda. But after that, Leon never takes Matilda on missions again. Killing is a life and death struggle. It's just too dangerous. Matilda, however, misunderstands and thinks that Leon thinks she's useless and that she's been abandoned. After thinking it over, Matilda goes to the police station entrance and starts staking it out. This dirty cop killed a family of 5. Matilda, the sole survivor, disguises herself and follows Stansfield. She's determined to avenge her family and prove herself. Who could have thought that after following him all the way into the toilet, Stansfield suddenly disappears? Just when she's feeling lost, all of a sudden, the door shuts. Stansfield is hiding behind it, lying in wait like a spider in its web. He slowly walks closer, takes out a capsule, and swallows it. This is his prelude to killing. Seeing Stansfield take out his pistol, Matilda is terrified. Stansfield then forces her to tell him who's behind her. He's killed so many people that he's already forgotten about Matilda's family. Matilda is in tears. "You killed my 4-year-old brother." The dirty cop couldn't care less. "Sorry about that, but I guess he had it coming. Do you want to live?"
Yes.
"That's great, because I don't like killing people who don't cherish life." Stansfield hoists his firearm, zeroing in on the little lass Matilda. Out of the blue, one of his lackeys bursts in, all flustered. "Boss, there's a hitman who's crashed our hideout. He's not only rubbed out the other dudes, but also dispatched the buyers. And he claimed it was some personal beef." Stansfield twigs right away that the killer must be after this young'un. He commands his underling to stash Matilda in the police station and sets off to suss it out himself. On the flip side, Leon gets home only to spot a suicide note on the table. Matilda penned that she was gonna avenge her baby brother. She also left the 20 grand for Leon. If she bit the dust, she hoped Leon would exact vengeance on her behalf. Leon barges into the federal police station. He decks the guard with one wallop and hacks his way to Stansfield's office, mowing down anyone in his path. At this moment, the goons are none the wiser. They're taunting Matilda, yapping, "You've got some serious guts." But who could have guessed that Leon kicks the door wide open and plugs one thug with each shot? It takes him no more than 3 seconds flat. Matilda leaps into Leon's arms, all excited. This is the 3rd time Leon saved her bacon. The two of them snuggle up, and Leon's mighty relieved he didn't lose Matilda. Matilda's got a crush on this 30-year-old gent. After getting back home, Matilda slips into the dress he gifted her. She pours Leon a glass of milk. The gal's so drop-dead gorgeous that even Leon can't help but gawk. Matilda suddenly sidles up and whispers a ballsy notion. Even though his heart does a little flip, Leon doesn't overstep the mark. He spills to Matilda that when he was 19, he had a sweetheart. The girl hailed from a posh family, but Leon wasn't given the nod by her old man because he didn't have any clout. The girl sneaked out on dates with him, but her father sniffed it out. In a blind rage, the father even plugged his own daughter, and because of his power and pull, he didn't have to do a single day in the slammer. Leon couldn't stomach that grudge, so he grabbed a sniper rifle and got his payback. but then he had to hightail it to the United States and became a shadowy hitman. He'd always been a lone wolf and wasn't much of a Romeo, but instead of being put off, Matilda feels even sorrier for Leon. She calls off pressuring Leon and makes a different plea. She asks Leon to sprawl out in bed and cuddle her to sleep. For the first time, Leon sleeps like a log till morn. These two lonely souls have mended each other's hearts and become each other's mainstay. However, little do they cotton on that the hopping mad Stansfield has already paid the boss a visit. He slams his gun down on the table and growls, "I've always been buttering your bread in business. But there's one hitch. My men were whacked by your guy. I can't wait to square off with him. Don't make things tough for me. This dirty cop's all set to bump off to cover his tracks." Leon suddenly jolts awake. He's never truly caught a wink before. Matilda tells him to chill while she scoots out to grab some milk for him. Leon jogs her memory. Don't forget the knock code.
2 knocks and 1 and 2 knocks again, right?
She heads back with a spring in her step, oblivious that Stansfield's already laid a trap nearby. All of a sudden, a bunch of masked SWAT teamsters nab Matilda and haul her off. They force her to spill the knock code. Matilda pretends to play ball but feeds them a bum steer. The SWAT team doesn't bat an eyelid. They spread out pronto and seize control of the whole corridor. The SWAT team leader starts rapping on the door. Hearing the wrong code, Leon's on high alert. All of a sudden, the door swings open, but there's nary a soul in sight. A small squad of SWATsters steps into the room. At that moment, a mitt reaches out from the ceiling and shuts the door without a peep. The next second, a hail of gunfire erupts. Leon's got them cornered like rats. When the door swings open again, there are corpses strewn all over. The whole SWAT team's been wiped out in a jiffy. Stansfield realizes things have gone pear-shaped. He's spitting mad and orders the entire Drug Enforcement Administration to mobilize. This is the baddest hitman in the U.S. of A. Just banking on their numbers, the SWAT team's no match for Leon. He takes out the SWAT joker who strolls through the door with one slug. Then he hangs upside down and sprays lead in all directions, clearing out the whole corridor of SWATsters. The rest of them are scared shitless and don't dare to poke their heads out. It's only after an age that someone finally musters the nerve to peek, only to find themselves staring down the barrel of Leon's gun. Leon nabs a SWAT member as a hostage to swap for Matilda. Leon backs off step by step till he reaches the door. He plugs and blows up the fire sprinkler. Then he fires off a few more rounds and slams the door. The SWAT team leader immediately figures his buddies have been rubbed out. The whole crew starts spraying bullets at the door. Little do they know they end up filling their own mates full of holes. While they don't have the guts to bust in by force, Leon hotfoots it to the bathroom. He fires several slugs at the ventilation duct and then grabs an axe to hack out a passage. But the passage is so darn narrow that only pint-sized Matilda can wriggle through. He wraps the potted plant in some duds and chucks it into the duct. Matilda doesn't want to part ways with him. Leon says, "You've made me taste the sweetness of being alive. I still want to sack out in a bed and won't leave you in the lurch no more. Trust me, I'll come a-hunting for you. Meet me at the boss's joint in an hour."
I love you again.
The top-notch killer's hemmed in by the cops. The SWAT team wheels out heavy machine guns and rocket launchers. With a wave from the team leader, a rocket launcher spits out a rocket into the room. In a flash, there's a colossal explosion, and the shockwave bowls Leon right over. Flames devour all the rooms. Amid the thick smoke, the SWAT team storms into the house. All of a sudden, a lucky SWAT member raises his hand and gets carted outside for medical attention. Turns out, Leon's kitted up in the SWAT team's gear. Since the different teams don't know each other from Adam, the SWAT team didn't suspect a thing. Who could have thought that Stansfield, who's lurking nearby, spots it but doesn't blow the whistle? Instead, he hoofs it back to the first floor and pulls all the cops out. Stansfield lies in wait. When Leon comes down, Leon's striding towards the exit with hope in his heart. There's just one more door, and he'll be reunited with Matilda. Then they can snatch the dough and skedaddle. Little does he know that Stansfield pops up out of nowhere and hoists his gun. Just as Leon's about to step across the threshold, there's a sudden, deafening gunshot. Leon suddenly feels his body go leaden. He keels over, knowing he can't make good on his promise no more. Stansfield, on the other hand, looks as pleased as Punch. The dirty cop Stansfield rubbed out Matilda's family. All of a sudden, Leon hands him something. "This is from Matilda for you." Stansfield unfurls his palm and discovers it's actually the pin of a grenade. He quickly yanks open Leon's coat and then cottons on something's amiss. The humongous explosion caused by 20 grenades sends Stansfield to Kingdom Come. Leon sacrificed his life to avenge Matilda and has cleared the clouds in her life. On the other side, Matilda wriggles free from the encirclement and tracks down the boss. But hour after hour ticks by, and Leon never shows. It's only at this moment that Matilda learns that Leon had already made a will. If anything happened to him, all the moolah would go to Matilda. The boss says he's willing to toe the line, but Matilda doesn't want the cash. She wants to become a killer. The boss blows his top. There's no gig here for a 12-year-old tyke. The game's over. Leon's dead. Matilda's heart's broken. She finally gets what Leon was saying. Revenge is a dead end. Having lost Leon, she wanders the streets like a lost soul and knocks on the door of an orphanage. After hearing her tale, the director takes her in pronto. Matilda digs a hole in the garden and plants Leon's potted plant in it. It'll grow up slow and steady here with Matilda. This movie is called Leon, the Professional. The love between Leon and Matilda transcends age and identity. It doesn't hinge on looks or loot, but springs from the air understanding and need for each other. Just as Matilda said, if you really love the potted plant, you should plant it in the park and let it sink roots. Just like true love, it's not about possessing the other person, but about accompanying and shielding them, always having the other's back. This movie's a corker. I recommend you check out the original flick. If you like the vid, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. See you next time. Bye-bye.